Hello and welcome to Super Lady Hero Hour. It is a very special edition. We're talking DC FanDome. I'm Yael Teagle. I'm joined as always by Kay-B. Hello.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. This is going to be our, DC Fandom highlights where we discuss what happened over this past weekend when, DC was giving us some news and deciding that they're probably not going to do any cons this year because they allegedly gave us what we asked for. And in some ways they did, and in some ways they did not. So, let's get right to it. So let's start with Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So Shazam actually hasn't been filming that long, like at all. So naturally, at DC Fandom, they didn't really have much to reveal. There was some special footage about what lies ahead, and we definitely saw Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu in their new suits as the new villains. I mean, they were announced as villains like a really long time ago, is what it felt like to me. I don't know. Time has no meaning anymore. But seeing them in the suits, I'm super thrilled. And, Shazam, I feel like always makes it really hard for me to want to root for the hero when you have villains like that.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point. I'm very excited for more Shazam. That first movie was so fun. And so I I like these new villain looks. I'm an impatient person, as we know, and so I am not enjoying. I feel like we've gotten news for like 4 years now. um, when is this movie coming out? I'd like to see it, please.
Next year. So you have to hold on a little bit longer. And apparently, we have to hold on longer for anything like weighty or meaty about the film too, because they didn't really have anything. So this is one of the things where, like, I think when we did DC Fandom, part one last year when we debuted Super Lady Hero Hour, we were like, well, some of this stuff they could have kept. That same feel happened this year. I'm like, if you don't have the real content yet, it's okay to just make us wait because we're going to end up doing it anyway. So,
Yeah.
speaking of things that they made us wait on, there is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So, I will say that I really enjoyed the first Aquaman. I thought it was really well done. I don't know that they had announced the name of the sequel until now. That feels new, like to DC Fandom, that they were announcing that it's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We got the new suit reveal, so yay. Both actually, Black Manta and Aquaman, so that's dope. But otherwise, we got nothing because they too have been filming, and so we didn't get anything except for Jason Momoa walking around set, and
Yeah.
yeah.
This the I don't know. Maybe this is just a me thing, but showing a new suit doesn't excite me. Like if you go back to seeing Wonder Woman in the gold suit,
Mhm.
did not a, a suit does not excite me. A super suit doesn't excite me. I'm not Edna Mode. I don't know why. Um, I mean, I feel like the biggest news is that it's called Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. Lost Kingdom. You're right. Like that is the biggest news. But also, what lost kid? Like, wasn't the whole premise of the first one that there was a lost kingdom and his mom was stuck in it? Like, it just I'm not. I enjoyed the first Aquaman, not nearly as close to even a little bit as much as how much I enjoyed Shazam, but like I will probably enjoy this Aquaman as well whenever it comes out because it was beautiful. I remember thinking that it was a very beautiful
Stunning.
movie. More than anything, it was very enjoyable to look at. My eyes were
Mhm.
pleased. So,
Yeah, that's true. I feel like James Wan, the director, always has visually pleasing
yes.
films. So that's something that you can 100% expect from this one because he is on board to direct the second one as well. Um, and he said it's going to be bigger and they're going to dial up the action and it's going to be as beautiful, if not more. And, they kind of showed us the canvas, a little bit, some sketches, which was like fine. But I feel like there's a lot of lore to pull from, which I think James mentioned in the clip. And so I am curious to see what they do. I mean, there will always be a lost kingdom because it's Atlantis. So the name doesn't deter me. Like, I know the storyline is going to be different from the first one, but I just think if you don't have anything to show us, it's okay to bypass this. Like we don't have to, make a spotlight about something because we don't have anything yet, which is okay because we understand that production takes time, especially in this day and age, and things have shifted and things have changed. So that's fine.
I mean, maybe just like a poster is cool. You know what I mean? Like, show me the
with
poster.
The new suits.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Yes. Love that idea. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll wait again until next year to see a trailer and see what's happening for real. So we can move straight to Harley Quinn, which obviously is the underrated, hero of the DC animated universe here. Everyone adores Harley Quinn. I still have yet to watch it, so it is on my list. Wow. I know I need to watch it. But, Harley makes fun of them in the clip, saying it's been 50 years, essentially, almost, since the last season. So when is it going to come out?
She's right. Like, I jumped onto Harley Quinn. I think season 2 had just started airing when I first watched the whole first season because it became available on Sci-Fi and I didn't have DC All Access. So I think it is taking a long time to get more of this show, and it is such a good show. Like, it is one of the best things to come out of DC. What was it? DC Universe, DC All Access, whatever it was called.
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, because it's gone and now it's like HBO Max.
Yeah,
I don't recall.
Right, that thing. Harley Quinn series was definitely one of the 2 best things to come out of that entire thing.
This sounds terrible, but like, honestly, that feels like a lifetime ago, but literally it ended last year. So it was not. The fact that we can't remember the name of this last year.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes, right? Like, okay. But yeah, I mean, so technically season 3 still not done, apparently. And they gave a sizzle reel, as everyone does. But basically saying, Harley and Ivy are fully into their relationship, having a good time, and it's all about love and killing, I guess, is the best way to put season 3 of Harley Quinn.
I'm shocked that this trailer did not, this reel didn't make reference to the Batman Catwoman debacle from a few whenevers ago. Yeah, like way to miss an opportunity. And I hope there's jokes about it in season 3.
Yeah,
especially if Ivy and Harley are a full couple.
Right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're on that ball. It's just so funny to me because, as everyone knows, animation actually does take so long. Like, it is. I mean, there have been times that I've watched animated films and I've heard people say it took us 8 years to make this, and I'm like,
right.
8 years of your life to make an animated film, an hour and a half for 8 years? Like, what? So, I mean, who knows when it'll come out? I can't remember, and this is my bad, so I'll take the fall as bad journalist. I can't remember if they dropped the date at the end of the trailer for when season 3 would be released, but I'm sure they know when it'll be released. But we didn't see anything, and everything was still in black and white, and there was literally no color in that tutorial, which they also make fun of. Like, woo, we have done nothing. So I'm like, okay.
All we know is sometime 2022.
Right. So, again, patience is a virtue. I think that's what DC FanDome, I think patience probably was like the word for this year's FanDome. And it's like, just lean into it, guys. Seriously.
It's so funny that we keep saying this because it actually reminds me of the next thing we're going to talk about, which is Black Adam, which released just a clip. It like had a bunch of the actors, which was cool. And then a clip that didn't show much. And it reminded me,
technically is at least the opening sequence of the film. Like, I'm like, okay, if you're going to show me something,
sure,
then show me the first 3 minutes of the film. Sure.
But it reminded me of last DC FanDome where all they had was an animated picture. Like, this is the progress. Now we have a clip.
Yeah, we have the opening sequence, so at least I guess you know what you're getting yourself into. Sort of.
I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
Well, I did. I felt like, oh, okay, like at least I know a little bit more about Black Adam and the level of power that he has, like in that first clip. So I'm like, okay, but
My big question, I guess, is because The Rock has been dabbling in lots of different genres, a lot of action comedies, and he is mostly a comedy person. And this scene, this clip felt like a drama. Like he didn't come out and, be like, sup, like he didn't make a joke. And I'm wondering what the vibe and tone of this movie is going to be, because I don't think we've seen him do serious, and I'm excited to see that, if that is the
yeah.
case.
So I am not going to necessarily say that I think it's going to be a drama. Like I think there'll be some dramatic moments, and
You
based
think
on this
it's going to
clip, you can
be
guarantee that. But I think they will still lean into his comedic, I think there will be a level of campiness still to it with a hint of drama. But the only reason why I think that is going to be the case is because in the comics, Shazam and Black Adam, are basically like this, which
right?
obviously we're building up to, that happening in live action between the two of them. And I just know from the vibe of Shazam, like whatever
Right.
director takes on Shazam versus Black Adam is going to have to meld the kind of vibe of both films. And that's why I think it might still have some comedic moments, because they may try to keep it even keel for when we get there, is my thought process.
Sure. And I think you're right. I think that makes complete sense. And that's what you would expect and you would hope. But based solely on the footage,
Yes.
I
Solely
am
on this first one, drama.
This footage, I'm going, this is a Batman v Superman vibe as opposed to a Shazam vibe.
Yeah.
And that is something we've never seen from The Rock, but also is not necessarily something we want from him.
I mean, I feel like, I'm trying to think. I feel like he's a bit more serious in the Fast franchise films. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's less, kind of this comedic person.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that's what he's leaning more into, is like the vibes that he gives, in those films. But I mean, we're going to see. I would like to see him challenged kind of in new ways, as an actor. He is very charismatic. And I think that's one thing that, people kind of take for granted, is that his charisma and his charm pretty much work every film that he's in, right? Like they lean into that. But Black Adam, historically, is not really a charismatic like individual. Right. He's very ruthless and, like truly. So, I mean, he's essentially, I don't necessarily, like people are like, he's an anti-hero or he's just a villain.
Right. It's okay to have a movie about a villain.
Right. Like I'm okay with a villain origin story. Like that's totally fine. But we'll see. I think you're right. I think it will definitely be stretching him in a lot of ways. I think it'll stretch a lot of the actors in it. Like we've never seen Noah Centineo kind of do anything like this either. So I'm curious to see, because he's more of like a rom-com guy. I mean, to be fair, The Fosters is a very serious like drama TV series. But The Fosters was really interesting because he was replacing another actor like midway in. So it's like, you can get to see that all the way through.
So excited about Aldous Hodge.
Of course.
As we know, he's recently been doing a whole lot of dramas. But for those of us OG Aldous Hodge fans, we know him from Leverage. And so he is hilarious. And I have never seen him in this kind of action-y role. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
I actually kind of think Aldous may be a little bit of the comedic relief in this film. Like I could actually see that happening.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Sarah Shahidi, like fresh off of Sex Life, a renewal on season 2. She's like, yeah, let me go play over here. So I'm excited for that too. So I am really excited about, and Quintessa, I believe it's Quintessa. I'll have to check, but Quintessa, who did, they did an episode, well, a very long arc of this season of In Treatment with Uzo. like, oh my gosh, they're really, really good. So I'm also curious to kind of see, how that goes as well. Like, I'm like, let's see. But yeah, to your point, we got the first few minutes of the film. They're in post-production right now. What does this mean?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. So, surprise.
So let's talk about the one of the only full trailers we got, which was for the Batman. I'm going to say this on this show. I've said it before. I had no interest whatsoever in this movie. This trailer sold me. This trailer made me go, yeah, I want to see this movie. This seems like a movie I'm going to enjoy. So thank you for releasing a full trailer.
Well, I have said on this show multiple times how I've been into it because it seems like a very like a Batman noir, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like a darker detective version of Batman that we have not actually explored on the big screen. So I've been excited from day one, trusting Matt's vision. And this trailer did not disappoint me. I mean, we got Riddler, Penguin, which still, the fact that Colin is paying the Penguin still is the facial transformation, like the fact that I can't even recognize Colin is wild. We see Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, and her dance with Batman. But what I love about this film is it feels like this is the proper time to say. It feels like Batman is an anti-hero. Like, I think that's a more appropriate use of an anti-hero.
Interesting.
Is this one. And that he's not necessarily on the side of justice, like in a traditional sense, I should say, or working alongside Gotham PD. Like, it seems like those don't interest him. And I'm curious to what that looks like. So, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. And I wasn't before at all in the least. So
here we are. And also, shout out to the end of that trailer, which is flipped. And then it says it's like upside down. And then it says, I was like, wow, genius. Like taking that last scene of the Penguin and the accident, flipping it upside down, and then just running the Batman. I was like, bravo. Whoever did that, whoever cut that trailer, shout out to them because it was stunning. I loved everything about it. Also, I love Batman because it's 98% always in the dark. Like every single film, like in TV shows, it's just like there is no sunlight almost in any of the films. And I'm like, this is the perfect movie. It's so dark. I love it. So yes.
All right. The other full trailer we received was for the new Peacemaker series. I am so stoked. First of all, I will say we on this show talked about how it was said that it will be an origin story. And so we all assumed because of everything that meant Peacemaker would die in the Suicide Squad movie. And if you missed the post-credit scene, he did not die. He's alive. And this is telling us the origin story, but not a prequel series, which I think is so funny how misled we all were. I am excited. It looks fun. It looks funny. I will say a shout out to Rizwan Manji, who is in the trailer. And I'm excited to see this. What did you think about the trailer?
I think the trailer's pretty fun. It did bring up some questions for me though. So I think that there's a natural assumption that this is, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some time trick, maybe some time traveling, something that's happening that I don't necessarily think that this is taking place in the timeline that they've told us.
Oh.
So I don't know why, but I feel like because of everything that happened in the Suicide Squad, and we know that he is still alive, and we, I guess thought he would die because it's an origin story. I don't know if they're going to start manipulating time. I feel like they are, but it's so hard with DC because there hasn't been a lot of continuity. But what we'll see and what we'll get to a little bit later is that in the Flash teaser, they are tackling the multiverse. So I don't know, kind of what this looks like, but I am excited to know more about him. It definitely feels like, I do think it's kind of interesting that it's a TV show versus it just being a film. So I'm curious to see how they lay these episodes out because it does seem like a bit of a family drama. Like we see him with his father and that conflict and what's happening. And then it seems like a buddy comedy in a lot of ways. And then it's like a superhero film. So it's like, I mean, well, show. So it's like a melding of all these things, and I'm very curious to see how they like lay it out. I will say he ended up being a lot funnier in the Suicide Squad than I anticipated.
Yeah, I
So I'm
agree.
hoping they lean into that.
I imagine this is their WandaVision. This is their Loki. Like this feels like um the DC version of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. And we had no idea how that was going to work out, and so far it worked out pretty well for a lot of them. So I think it'll be good and interesting. I hope it is a limited series. I think that one of the things that was so great about WandaVision was that it was this small story.
Yes.
And I hope that this is also a limited series and not season one. That's just a personal hope on that one.
Well, they have not billed it as a limited series, so I'm
I
guessing they're
know.
leaving the door open.
I
I
know.
was like, I don't mean to say that, negatively, but it's like because it hasn't happened, and
Yeah.
I think that just my biggest point of contention with the DCEO in general is like, where is the full continuity? And so this is a form of continuity from the Suicide Squad to this, but like, if these two don't connect to anything else, then like,
Yeah. There's
I
really
guess.
continuity is not a thing that DC seems to do.
And they don't care about, but it makes things very confusing, and it would be so much easier on the film side, which it's interesting that they're doing their first kind of real run in continuity by adding a TV show,
Yeah. No, I'm
which
with you.
they already do DC TV continuity well, for the most part. I mean, I would like to see, Doom Patrol somehow, but they're doing better with Stargirl, like, so they're trying, but I'm just like, this film is out of control. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. But Peacemaker does premiere January 2022. So
Yes.
they did drop a date, which is like great. And it's essentially right around the corner. So I am very curious.
Yeah. It feels like the first new thing coming out.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I think it is the next thing, besides the DC TV stuff that they dropped, because
Sure.
obviously DC TV comes back November 16th. So, in its
DC TV
traditional
is
form.
back.
Well,
A
some
lot
of
of the
it.
shows are, yeah, a lot of the
Yeah,
shows are coming back.
Batwoman's back.
Legends are
Batwoman's
back.
actually, yeah, Legends just came back, and then what they're doing with their like 5-part events are happening in November, which is still wild to me. But
All right.
so yeah, I mean, at least there's that. But yeah, Peacemaker. This is their like. I'm still calling it a film. I don't care, mostly because it spun off from a film, and also it feels like a film, and also it should have been a film. I feel like at this point.
The mini series.
Right. Oh, bring us back to those. I used to love those on like CBS on Sunday nights when they
Yeah.
the little mini series. Oh, a dream. Okay, so let's talk about some DC. Well, actually, let's talk about the Flash film, and then
Sure.
we can get into the TV side of things. So, still shooting, still doesn't have much, but they gave us a little snippet. I think the coolest part actually of this snippet was seeing Ezra Miller's new suit. I think that was dope. And then the introduction of the multiverse. So something that they have not tackled head on in the DCEU ever, or at least in this new iteration within the last 15 to 20 years, is really honing in on the multiverse. And this teased the multiverse. So we got a little teaser of what I assume, because we know that Ben Affleck is also reprising his role as Batman, but we also know that Michael Keaton, who's actually one of my favorite Batmans, is coming back. So I assume in this teaser, it was actually Michael Keaton's Batman. And then we see 2 Barry Allens as the Flash. And then we see a third individual in a Flash suit. But I don't know who they are. Really could be anyone. I mean, it could be Bart, it could be anyone. But there was an extra person in a Flash suit. And I thought, oh, so we're really doing this. My only hesitation with this is, as you know, this film has gone through several iterations, like of directors, of writers. There's been so many changes. So I'm kind of like, I hope it's good.
Yeah, we've dealt with this on the show, and so it doesn't. Not only have we dealt with this time travel with the Flash on the show, but also we have Marvel doing their multiverse. So it kind of feels like late to the party jumping in, and it's like, can you do better? Can you do different? And I don't know that I feel the answer is yes.
I don't think they gave us enough to even have an opinion about it. You know what I mean?
No,
Like to be able
absolutely.
to see. And
But to your
to your
point
point.
that there is a lot of changeover. It, so
Yeah, I know.
what is it? So what is it?
We don't know. Wing and a prayer, I guess, is what we're gonna find out and
Yeah.
see. Like, will this be good or not? Yeah, I actually don't even. I know it's coming out in 2022, but like now that Marvel keeps changing their dates, and I've stopped trying to keep up with dates. Like I
Right.
just have given up. So the Flash will be out then, and I guess we'll see then. But it's still like, I'm curious to see if Ezra can pull off because these different versions of Barry Allen.
Sure.
And how many? Because we only saw 2, but that doesn't mean that there won't be more.
Right.
So I'm just really curious to see.
I think that Ezra Miller is a talented actor. From what I've seen him in other things, I think he has a lot of talent. I think he is also controversial with things that have come out about him, and so I don't know how to feel at this moment about him in this role. But the bare minimum I could say is I think he is a talented actor who could do a multitude of things, and it would be fascinating.
We just have to wait and see. I mean, I think that's all we got for the Flash. So let's move it over to DC TV, and we can start by talking about Naomi. So Naomi, Ava DuVernay's baby.
Yes.
Fully picked up out of CW. Super excited to see this heroine story. Yet that teaser gave us literally nothing. I mean,
my goodness, that teaser was frustrating.
Yes.
I am not familiar with this character. I'm not familiar with the story. I know nothing. And after that trailer, that teaser, I still know absolutely nothing. And I want to champion this show. I want to get excited about it. But you have not told me who she is or what she does or what the point is or what I now know she is in a universe with Superman. I can only assume it is Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, but there's no way to know.
Do we know? Right. Yeah. Really, the trailer could have been like 30 seconds longer, and just got us to the point of why she's having this like headache and her vision is, impaired. If you just gave us 30 seconds more and showing us, even if someone came and picked her up, even if Superman came and scooped her up, I don't know. I guess I just feel like her just laying on the ground for most of that teaser.
I would have even been okay with it being shorter, with her just like, I gotta go, gotta get it for my blog, and her running out the door, and that being the end. Also would have been like, that gave us enough, but then you introduced something much more interesting and didn't give us anything about it.
Nothing.
So that trailer could have been either 30 seconds longer, 30 seconds shorter.
Right. Yeah. I was like, okay. So I still know nothing. I guess I'll do some background research. We'll see her. We'll see Naomi in 2022. Like, I mean, I guess that's all.
That's what we know.
That's all that we know. So that was that.
Okay.
The Flash. So the Flash TV show technically also gave us nothing. It just gave us a look at the boots. It wasn't until days later that they dropped the official like trailer from the 5-part episode that is going to include, which shout out, we get to see, the Pierces are back. We get to see Brandon Routh is back. But it kind of seemed like Brandon Routh was back as Superman, not the Atom, but who has
I like that.
Who has time to keep up? But what I will say is some of our faves are back. It obviously is another crisis, as it always is. But I appreciate that we're kicking off season 5 with this, and we got a little hint of like old school Iris and things. I still don't know what we're going to be tackling in this 5-part event, but I am intrigued, particularly because last season was not good, in my personal opinion, as a whole. There was not a lot of, we talked about it on the show, there just wasn't, it was a whole lot of, okay, but why? But why? But why? And then we get to the end and we're like, oh, so it's about family, but like we still probably could have cut out 75% of the things that happened to get here.
Yeah, I can only assume that the Flash going forward will be better than last season because can it be worse? I it was, as you said, there was a whole lot of but why, but even more so, there was a whole lot of let me talk this villain down. Oh, okay. I've been talked down. Thank you.
I am now a
So
decent human being. I apologize for being a villain.
yeah.
The end. It's
Uh,
like, what?
let's move on to a show that is better, or was doing better, and that is Superman and Lois.
Yeah. So
I
also, they could have left this.
Yeah, I don't know that we needed this, but we got a little tour of their house. Honestly, I thought it was cute. That behind the scenes stuff is fun. I think I think that if a show is presenting at DC Fandom, they should be announcing something along with whatever it is that they're doing. So like this tour is fascinating, and I loved hearing the kid play piano. I liked seeing Bitsy give us a tour. Like I liked that, but I also would have liked news of some sort.
Yeah, what's
Anything.
happening in season 2? Yeah. So I actually didn't like this house tour at all. Was bored to death.
Oh,
But I'll be honest. But mostly it's because I watched the show. I've seen the house. I'm not really like that type of behind the scenes. Really isn't for me. Like
oh,
I would much rather have a behind the scenes that focuses on like hair, makeup, music, like those elements that go into the show versus that. Sit me down with the writer and let me get behind the scenes of that. But I like the set, so that's not the issue. I just thought, well, we could be doing something else with this time. Like,
sure.
you need to see their family home. No. So
It could have been shorter.
yeah, or they could have also just, wrapped the news in this tour. So while you're giving this tour, start dropping hints about season 2. I mean, yes, that is way more intriguing in my personal opinion. Like, please give me that. So it was really just kind of like, okay.
I like a set tour. Set's fun. I like seeing
Yeah.
the behind the scenes. The last I think set I got to personally explore was a Bitsy set as well. So I thought that was fun.
Oh, look at that full circle for you. Yeah, I like being on set, and the last set that
Sure.
I was on was Black Lightning, so still in the same
Right.
CW verse of shows. But yeah, I definitely was like, whew, okay. Yeah, I could move past this. Although I definitely enjoy being on set, but it's definitely a different feel when
Sure.
giving you kind of behind the scenes at DC Fandom. And I just wanted more news. So I think like overall, because apart from this family tour, the rest of the things were the return of Milestone Comics. There's going to be a film. The League of Super Pets, the animated film with The Rock, so he is back in another role for DC, and Kevin Hart. That's coming. Injustice, the game, is getting an animated feature. Doom Patrol was renewed for season 4, which honestly no one is shocked there.
The big news to come out was that
season 4, yes, no one's surprised. So apart from that, we really didn't get as much as I was hoping. I mean, I think because I was really hoping from the DCEU we'd get more film-centered trailers, not behind the scenes.
Sure. I understand that, and I think that they did the best that they could with what they had. I think some of this could have been put into one package rather than its own separate thing. I think the panels were fun, and I know that fans love that.
Yeah.
I think that compared to, how would you compare it to last year's, to the original?
Definitely better than the first one, but I would say that this one could have been chopped down. Like legitimately, if you're only gonna have footage, you could have made like a footage reel and just let people make it kind of fast and just let people pick out the Easter eggs, because people love doing that. Like, let me search for the Easter eggs, have people pull the Easter eggs from like the footage reel to get what they need. I think it could have been maybe like 30 to 45 minutes shorter. I mean, depending on how long the panels overall were, but just a little bit shorter, condensing the pieces where we didn't have full trailers or we didn't even have any like real set footage. We could have kind of driven that down a little. But I do think it's definitely a step up from last year in terms of content. I think hands down, it still remains like last year, DC Fandome 2020 was the best virtual event, right? This is still a well oiled machine. It works well. Like you're like, oh, this is so good from a virtual standpoint. Like it's so good. They work so hard. I'm super proud of everyone involved. I just think, if we don't have anything, it's also okay. Like we could just do the panels, like let's lean into the panels because that's what people like anyway. They want to hear more from the artists and the creatives behind the projects, and answer some super fan questions and maybe tease things about these upcoming projects that way, versus kind of having that footage would be my only thing. So what about you? How are you feeling compared to last year?
Yeah, it's actually great that you said that because I agree that it was better, but also if you recall, we loved last year. So like this this is even better. It is well run. It is so smoothly organized. I would have liked more fan interaction. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's something that all of these events are missing is like live fan interaction, and a lot of the stuff that they had was pre-recorded, which, as someone who just went to a in-person convention that had pre-recorded content, it's so disappointing when you're going to something that is supposed to be closer to live.
Yeah. Well, I
So
guess the one, could say that since this is virtual, pre-recorded makes the most sense, right? So like you're not in
sure,
person, but I think where they dropped the eight ball is that they could have just done, kind of that live fan interaction as part of the recording, but they
sure,
still didn't even do that, so.
right, yeah. But all in all, agreed, still the best virtual event, um, compared to the other cons.
Yeah, I mean, they still know exactly how to do it. And quite frankly, I feel like there's no shame in sharing secrets. Like,
Yeah,
everyone should be communicating with Warner Media and saying, okay, literally from a logistics standpoint, how are you guys managing this? Because it is run so well.
yeah,
And we will pay for your consulting services if you just give us the secret sauce
yeah,
so that we can run our smoothly. Like, obviously, our content will be different because
right.
we don't have the same content, but we just need to know how you guys make it a well-oiled machine.
It's
Because,
so funny because we spent the last, what, 30 minutes being like, here are things I don't like. But this
yeah,
was a
but
great
overall,
convention.
yes, it always will be. I just, I'm my guess is that they will try to pivot this into something in person probably next year.
Mm,
And I will be curious to see how that goes because in person is obviously a wildly different beast. But also, I will be curious to see if they'll provide more because I still stand by they lack when it comes to the content in some ways. I mean, and again, this year happened to be better than last year because last year my biggest complaint was like, y'all always got less than nothing. Really?
I think the challenge is, as we see, Marvel keeps moving their dates. And I think that
Mhm.
that's one of the challenges over here at DC as well, is that like dates aren't set yet or they're tentative.
I don't even need the date. Just if you're going to give me footage, like let me see what you can reveal. So I think in person, maybe they're aiming for, ooh, we can do so much more in person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for our discussion about DC Fandom 2021 here on Super Lady Hero Hour. Thank you for joining us. KB, where are you on the internet and what are you up to these days?
That's right. As usual, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at the Lady KB. That's TheLadyKayB. You can still catch me on the Real Critic Roundtable. We film every week where we discuss movies and TV from that week, and then some kind of entertainment hot topics as well. In addition, be on the lookout because this week I have interviews for Lock and Key season 2. I talk to the cast and the EP. Really, really fun show, really great. And those interviews were so fun. You can really tell that everyone loves the show. And I really love when the people behind the show bring that energy. So they were like willing to share. They were so lovely. So very kind. I enjoyed every moment. And if you want to check something out right now on Nerdophiles, you can check out my Babysitters Club interviews. Also, those kids are wildly talented, so sweet. I felt like an older sister for sure during that interview, like guiding them along the way. But they're so adorable and they do such a wonderful job. And do not sleep on the Babysitters Club because I cry almost every episode. There's a good life lesson for everyone in those shows, for sure. So, how about you, Yell? What are you up to these days and where can everyone find you?
I am everywhere on the internet at Yael Teagle. That is YAELTYGIEL. You can find me on Wednesdays on the Hollywood Critics Association YouTube channel on a show called Hollywood Approved, where we talk about the things that we have recently watched. You can find me on Sundays talking about Law and Order Special Victims Unit, the greatest show of all time. This Sunday, we'll be discussing the 500th episode of SVU. So check that out. It's also available in podcast format. And what else do I need to plug? Oh, that's right. The official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast only on Electric Now. You can watch all 16 episodes of the After Show on demand, or new episodes are airing on Sundays. That's everything. And I guess we'll see you next time for more Super Lady Hero Hour. Bye, everybody.
Bye.